Hey, as parents, I think we can all agree that newborns deserve the very best start in life, right? Our precious little babies should be able to start life in as optimal of a way as possible. But birth, even under the most optimal conditions, puts massive stress and impact on a baby's nervous system. You think about it this way, 1 in 3 births in the United States are now C-sections, and that's not even considering all the other stressors that happen during birth, where there's maybe vacuum extraction, or there is forceps, or there is manual assistance. All those things are a lot for a baby's body to handle, right? Not just mom. I mean, obviously, mom, that's stressful for you too, right? But your baby has to go through all those things as well. So let's say you have a birth that's just totally normal circumstances. The neck region, this upper neurospinal region up here, goes through a significant amount of stress, trauma, and impact during just that normal birthing process. The reason that this is so important is because when we are talking about stress that impacts this area, your brainstem passes through this area. So there's somewhere in the realm of about 78 trillion nerve fibers in your brainstem right here that extend down and go and can continue all the way down to things like your heart and your lungs and your stomach, your digestive tract, all those things. And so there's stress in this area that puts a significant impact on how your baby's going to function after birth. There was a study that showed 99% of births that were just totally normal, run-of-the-mill, nothing crazy, super crazy happened. There was still a significant amount of stress that was put on this region of the spine. The reason that that's important is because when babies go through that birth process, a lot of times parents come into our office and their baby's expressing certain issues. Things like colic or maybe infantile reflux, breastfeeding issues, a whole bunch of stuff, right? Those types of things. And parents bring their babies into our office and they're saying like, what happened? Like, this is a fresh, brand new baby. Why is my baby not expressing life the way that my baby should be expressing life? The way that I know my baby can function. And it's because of that stress that gets stuck in this region of the spine. That stress in chiropractic, we call it a kind of an interesting word. It's called subluxation. It very literally just means that there's stress that gets stuck on the spine somewhere, and that creates irritation and dysfunction and miscommunication and keeps a baby or a child in a stuck in a fight or flight mode, right? Fight or flight mode is not the best mode for a baby to be in because we want a baby to be relaxing. We want a baby to be eating, right? We want it to be sleeping so that it can grow big and strong and be healthy. A lot of times parents come into the office and they tell us these things, and what they often will tell us along with, hey, my baby's struggling with this stuff, is, I talked to my parents about this and my parents just said like, that's totally normal. Like, when you were a baby, you went through the same thing, right? You didn't sleep super good, but I just like kept on pressing on and persevering and now you're fine. You're totally fine. Or parents will go to the pediatrician and they say, hey, my baby has colic. And the pediatrician will say a couple different things like, here, give them this thing, right? Give them this thing, it'll help soothe their tummy. But honestly, eventually they're just going to grow out of it. What we know and what we've seen in our office as we look at kids' histories is if they went through those issues as babies, then typically it's not that they grow out of those issues, it's that they grow into a different issue. Does that make sense? So a kid that was maybe struggling with latching issues or sleep issues or poor digestion might grow into a toddler that struggles with constipation and has explosive behaviors and tantrums. And that kid that struggles with those things may grow into a kid that is really anxious and has ADHD, and then grows into a teenager that has anxiety and depression and just doesn't know how to handle the world until we eventually get to like burnt out and stressed out adults, right? So 99% of newborns show signs of somatic dysfunction, or what we call subluxation, and it's because of that stress that gets stuck in your spine. Knowing that this is the case, when a parent comes into our office and says, yeah, this is what they told me, they said that my baby would just grow out of it, we're like, look, your baby's in a great place. Obviously, they're not doing great things right now because they're struggling, but because they're a baby, we get to meet them where they're at and stop that crazy progression that could happen. And so we always celebrate the parents that bring them in early so that we can help them not just grow up to be healthy adults, but grow up to be healthy kids, teenagers, and ultimately into adulthood being healthy. One of the reasons that this area of the nervous system is so impactful and so important is because the brainstem is here, and at the level of the brainstem, right here, just not super high up at all, is something that exits the spine called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is really important for a lot of functions in your body, a lot of those resting, healing, relaxing functions of your body. So when it comes to digestive function and sleep and immune regulation, as well as emotional balance, the vagus nerve needs to be well intact or well communicating for your child to develop appropriately. There's also a center in this area called the proprioceptive center. Essentially, proprioception is your body's recognition of where it's at in space. And so if you have stress that's stuck in this area, then your body can't recognize where it's at in space, right? And so then that leads to some motor development issues, as well as maybe some missed milestone issues further in the future, because a kiddo, that little baby, can't figure out how to coordinate and recognize soon enough or appropriately what their hands and feet and arms and legs and all that stuff is doing. So there's a lot of different things that we can do to figure out where this stress is stuck in your little one's nervous system. We can obviously check motor milestones. We can obviously check neurodevelopmental milestones, reflexes, different things like that. But when people come to our office, one of the most important things that we do is we use very gentle assessments called insight scans that basically give us a really insightful look, right, into their nervous system to figure out, hey, where's the stress stuck? Where are we going to focus? How deeply rooted is that stress stuck, so that we can help your child in the best way possible? It very much lets us see how well their nervous system is communicating. It very much lets us see how much care they're going to need. It's also going to let us know how we're going to adjust your little one so that they can get the very best communication from their brain to the rest of their body. So this is a scan from a little baby that is struggling with stress from the very early stages of life, from the birth process. So what this is, it's called a neurothermal scan. And basically what this does is it tells us where the stress is stuck in a baby's nervous system or a person's nervous system. And if there is stress stuck on the nervous system, it creates heat or irritation and inflammation, and that's what this picks up. So red would be significant levels of nerve interference, blue would be moderate, and then green would be mild. When we're looking at a baby's scans, one of the first places that I always look and typically see stress stuck on their nervous system is up here in the brainstem area. The brainstem, again, that's that area when baby's coming out, that there's a twist, there's a turn, there's sometimes pulling, right? And it jars this area and creates physical stress, right? Very literal physical stress. And so anytime I see color of any magnitude on a baby's nervous system that looks like this, it doesn't ever surprise me to know that maybe this baby's colicky or struggling with breastfeeding or has issues with latching or isn't pooping well, right? Because this stress is so significant that the information that's trying to get from the little baby's brain, right, down to the rest of their body can't get through the way that it should because their nervous system is so stressed and the stress is stuck on right here in such a key critical area. As we were under consistent care, look at this. This is a different adaptation. Yes, we're still seeing some moderate nervous system stress that's up there at the top. However, the difference in the picture from beginning to where they were at when they transitioned from a restorative phase of care to a wellness phase of care is crazy different, right? And that's the types of changes that we see when we get a kiddo's nervous system adjusted on a consistent, regular basis after they're born. So I just wanted to show this to you so that you have in your mind what you could be looking for and expecting when you come in with your babies. Then with their history, once we figure out where the stress is stuck, then we can make adjustments. And adjustments take that subluxation, that chiropractic fancy word for just nervous system stress stuck on, keeping them stuck in fight or flight mode. Those adjustments help restore better communication between the brain and their body so that they can shift to more of a vagal tone, rest, healing, digest, relaxing sort of mode. One of the biggest reasons that it's important that we get your kiddo's nervous system dialed in and communicating well is because in the first year, there's millions of new brain connections forming literally every second, right? You just snap your fingers and it starts happening. Early on, subluxations don't just go away on their own. And the truth is they don't go away on their own, and they don't ever go away on their own, right? They need to be taken care of, because we have that whole cascade of events if they don't get taken care of early on. So they interfere with development over time, and addressing them early on just helps support them now, so that these healthy babies grow to healthy kids grow up to be healthy teens grow up to be healthy adults, right? I'll share a quick story, and the reason that I like to share this story is because it's very personal to me. We've got a lot of kids in our office that struggle with some of these issues, and as they start getting care, they're able to actually do really well after they start getting care, and they're able to function really, really well. But my daughter's birth was really, really fast. Very, very fast, so much so, in fact, that we had her at home on accident, which is great, right? I would actually take the at home on accident birth over the first in-hospital birth with our firstborn any day. It was just a phenomenal experience. Even though it was chaotic, it was very phenomenal. But one of the things that we didn't realize at the time, because I was in the beginnings of chiropractic school, literally in semester 1, was this: if birth is too fast, then it doesn't do what it needs to do to help their nervous system come into the world at an appropriate speed and appropriate time. There's a whole squeezing factor to passing through the birth canal that needs to happen in the right amounts for a baby to basically have an optimal entrance into this life. Just like if there's a birth that takes too long, if a birth takes too long, then that has a significant impact on how baby functions as well too, because you think about a birth taking too long, well, their head's pushing into that birth canal, right, trying to come out, and then that's putting a lot of stress in this area too. If birth happens too fast, then does it really fast, which would seem like a good thing, but it ended up not being a good thing for my little girl. And so what we found as time went on is she was kind of an anxious, stressed out, explosive little girl, right? And as she went to school, she also became an anxious, stressed out, didn't enjoy being at school sort of kiddo, because her nervous system was so stressed out from having too quick of a birth experience that just went through that whole cascade of events like we talked about. And so what we started doing is we really recognized this. When it really came into play was when she started kindergarten, and we recognized, hey, something's off, right? Like, she should be liking school. She likes learning, but she comes home and she says she hates it. She really fights going to school. She's fine at school, but when she gets home, it's like her total load has been stressed out. And so what we realized is we really need to dial in and connect her nervous system so that her body could do more of what it needed to do. And that's kind of a longer thing. If we had recognized when I was early on in chiropractic college that we needed to really dial in her care at that particular time, we could have avoided all those little steps. And so what I want to encourage you to do is don't wait for the small problems to become chronic problems, right? We are available for you at Renegade Chiropractic. We specialize in newborn pediatric chiropractic care, and we're able to use advanced scanning technology to figure out where is your kiddo's nervous system stressed out. And then we use very gentle and specific adjusting techniques. The amount of pressure that it takes to adjust a little baby is so light. If you were to check the ripeness of an avocado or a tomato, it's that gentle. So let us know how we can serve you. If you got a little one that's struggling, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be normal, right? Your baby can function the way that they're supposed to if we give them the right information from the brain, going down the neurospinal system to the rest of their body. They can function optimally. Your baby was designed to thrive. It's just a matter of time, addressing that subluxation and helping their body do what it's supposed to do. Removing that subluxation helps their body do what it needs to do and do it well. Okay? Talk to you later.